Hey everybody, welcome to English 126. If you are registered for English 126 and have passed English 122 or its equivalent, which I believe that you have, and you're signed up for Lori Fisher's section, you're in the right place and I want to welcome you to class. At the end of this video, I'm going to see if people are watching. All this is very new to me and kind of experimental. So I'm going to hold up a book at the end, and if you email me with the title of the book, I will know that you have made it to the end of this 3 to 4 minute video. Very excited about the class. The class in critical thinking, it's a second semester composition class, which means when and if you transfer to a 4-year university, you'll have completed both semesters of composition. And in almost every university, that's what you need. Some of them need a third semester. If you're applying to the UC system, you probably need a critical thinking requirement, and this fulfills that. And as well as you get to experiment with this wonderful thing called critical thinking, which almost everybody says people need today more than ever, and almost no one agrees on what it means. So part of what we're doing today and tomorrow and the rest of the semester is defining what it means to think critically. There is no textbook, okay? And that means we have to find things to think about, and that's no problem. Some of the things are very, very current, and I want to urge you to understand and hope you understand that I will not be telling you ever what to think, at least I hope not, but I'll be talking to you about how to think about things. And that's a really important point, that if you see me pushing you to think one thing or another, it's usually to examine your own thinking, not to agree with me. Since we don't have a textbook, we have to have some things to think about, and good news, there's plenty to think about. There's lots of things in the world today that need a good dose of critical thinking. So one of the things I want you to do is to get a free subscription for the New York Times. It's through your DVC account, and there's a link to how to do it. So every day there's going to be things in the New York Times. Here was one in today's paper. I'm doing this back in June. How we thought we were kind of getting ahead of the coronavirus, and we're not. Okay, and the implications of that are pretty important. So everything about the pandemic is going to interest us. There's an election coming up, okay, and at this point, Joe Biden had a big lead over Donald Trump. Don't know whether that's still true the first week of school. And as of this point, okay, there was this issue about whether or not the election will be over on November 3rd. The election is a great thing to think critically about. I hope if you are eligible to vote, you do. And I really encourage you to vote. Cast an intelligent ballot about that. Sorry about that. And I really hope that you understand the issues that are going to be involved. There's other issues as well. There's issues of social justice, about defunding the police, about the pandemic in general, about free speech. I'm a big sports fan. I really care about how the pandemic has affected sports as we know it. The newspaper is going to give you lots of things to read about besides politics, although many of them will trip over to politics. So for instance, we think about the arts here and the notion of how does creativity and art help us deal with the stress and pain that many of us have felt over the last few months since the pandemic hit. Okay, over here, there's a sports question. The NBA was going to try to open, okay, and just as they were about to open, there was a rise of the pandemic in Florida, so that was putting the season at risk. Okay, and here's one that's just a quirky thing. The baseball season hadn't opened when I was doing this recording, and now they are banning spitting in baseball. I'm a big baseball fan, so I don't know how that is all going to affect us. And what I really don't know is what's going to be in tomorrow's news. And I really don't know what's going to be in August news when you're hearing this. So it's quite an exciting time. It's quite a confusing time. I don't want to pretend that it's not. I want to help you through every part of this, including the technological part as well as the academic part. And I'm going to tell you a little bit, about who I am in a moment. Hey, I apologize for some of the technical glitches. I'm still getting used to this. You can see now I've changed my setting, and you'll see me in front of some of the books I have with my wife in our Berkeley house here. I'll talk about her in a second. Again, I want to let you know who I am. I've been teaching for quite a long time. You have heard of Alexander Hamilton, I think, of the show Hamilton. There's a rumor that he and I went to high school together. I'm not saying it is true. I'm not saying it isn't. But I'm saying I've been teaching a long time. At DVC, I've been teaching 30 years, taught a lot of courses here, and English 126 is my favorite. For all kinds of reasons, mostly because it's a very practical thing to do this thing called critical thinking, and we can always take today's news and figure out exactly how to think, not what to think, about these complicated current issues that I mentioned and will keep coming up all the entire time that we're here. This is my main sadness over the pandemic. That is Noah Green. That's our grandson who was born about 9 weeks ago in Philadelphia. And my wife and I have not been able to see him because he lives in Philadelphia and it's not safe to travel yet. So he's completely adorable and wonderful. And there's a second grandson here who maybe we can see. That guy, that's Henry. He's 4. Okay, and he lives in Philadelphia with my son, who's a teacher. Okay, and I have another son who's an artist and works in the film industry a little bit, and a stepdaughter who works in the medical field down in LA. And in my spare time, some of the things I do are play in a rock and roll band, which you have never heard of, called the Dad Beats. That's our show. That was in Berkeley in January. We did a fundraiser for the Albany Schools music program. And I'm married. My wife is, big surprise, an English teacher. She's a professor of English at the University of California at Berkeley. And so a lot of what we do is talk about how to teach and what to teach. So that's a little bit about me. The other thing that I love is baseball, and I miss it, and I'm hoping that it's coming back. And I think by the time you hear this, it will be. Just to finish up on the baseball theme, there are 2 teams that I root for. One is the Chicago White Sox, and you can maybe figure out why I do that. And the other is the San Francisco Giants, both of whom I follow very closely, and both of whom are going to have struggling years this year. That's about it. A couple more things just as far as business goes. Number one is we'll be mostly meeting on Tuesdays live and in person through Zoom. I'll be sending out the link with the password. So Tuesdays at 11:10, just what it says in the schedule, until further notice. So we'll have one class meeting synchronously a week, and then we won't have an asynchronous meeting. Thursdays at 11 o'clock, I'll be in my office, which is to say I'll be on Zoom and available to you all year long, all semester long, including not at that time. If that time doesn't work for you, let me know. Also, if on Tuesdays you can't make it because of work, because of health, because of personal situations, I need you to let me know that, and we'll work around that. And also, if you have technological problems that we have to deal with because you don't have Wi-Fi or you have to share a computer, so let me help with all of that. There's lots of services that are available to you that I want to be able to help you with. You can help me. I'm not new to this tech. I am new to this technology. I'm not phobic about it, but I'm not very good at it. I never expected to teach online. I never wanted to teach online. I do a lot with building community, and I'm going to try to do that. But I need you to help me with the technological part. If I'm not doing something well, or I could do it even live better, let me know. Chat with me. Okay, write me offline, write me an email, and let me know how I can do it better. I really want the technological part to go smoothly. It won't, but you'll be able to help me, and I'll be able to help you some. I'll help you with the other part. The course is a writing course. Most of the grades based on the writing. But the things you write about will be things we talk about. So there's a participation grade and a classroom community grade, and we'll figure out ways to do that. There'll be things to read. We have to have things to read. It just can't be what's on our mind. And then, of course, these are the things that we will show that we know how to think critically about. The core of the class is critical thinking, which doesn't mean to be critical, which usually means to be negative. And it doesn't mean to take something apart in a bad way or have an argument. I'm really concerned about the arguments getting loud and kind of out of control. I want our talks to be calm and rational and appropriate so that we can listen to each other very well, help each other think through what we think, sometimes change our minds, sometimes not, a lot of times question what we think. So that's about it. I have 2 more things. One is I'll see you next Tuesday at 11:10. Okay, that's when we'll do. I'll send you a Zoom for that. And if you've made it to the end and you can Zoom me, which is, what book am I holding up? I'm holding up a 1952 classics comic of Hamlet. And if you email me with this, I will know you have made it to the end of the session. And then you can comment or ask me questions. My email is lfisher@dvc.edu. That's easy enough to find. And if you'll email me this, I'll know you read it. And if you have a question or two or a comment, I'd really appreciate that. Very excited about the semester. I will see you in class. Bye-bye.